today's We the People as we get closer to that 250th birthday. We look way back September 2nd, 1816, in a second referendum on Maine's proposed separation from Massachusetts to become a new state. The pro-separation side wins again with 54% of the vote. While the margin of victory is smaller than the 62% win on May 20th, the rate of voter participation is much greater, giving the result more credibility. The referendum fails, however, because a 5/9 majority is required for passage. That creates a firestorm of controversy and leads to a series of unsuccessful efforts to alter the outcome by redefining how the votes should be tallied.